What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joey Work. I'm back. I brought DC back because he's been killing it. You already know that. We're going to do the AL West today. Tomorrow will be opening day. Cannot wait. What's up, DC? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. One more day till opening day. Couldn't be more excited. It's been a long winter waiting for the return of baseball, but we are almost here. DFS tomorrow, of course, firing up, season long betting, everything that goes along with the start of baseball, and yeah, couldn't be more excited to get started.
Yeah, ready to roll. All right. So, as I mentioned, we're doing the AL West. We're going to do team by team breakdown here as we've done for the last couple divisions. Me and DC will go back and forth. First off, here is the Houston Astros, the heavy favorite, minus 175 to win this division. Obviously, they did lose Justin Verlander, but this team arguably may be better than last year. Lineup or rotation still going to be good. Framber Valdez really took a step forward last year, made a name for himself in the playoffs. Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, all Luis Garcia, all good arms for that rotation. And then let's not forget about the lineup, who they added, Jose Abreu, right in the middle of that lineup. So this lineup is going to be quite scary, if you ask me. Jeremy Pena, after a great rookie season, World Series MVP, great, is back. Kyle Tucker, who us from the Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Bet side, definitely like Kyle Tucker. He continues to get better and better. Bregman, Jordan Alvarez. The one question, I do have here, I know, so the little man did get hurt in the World Baseball Classic, but a lot of players, Dusty Baker did say, I read a quote about him say about 2 weeks ago that he was quite nervous, being that he had, I think, almost 20 players in the World Baseball Classic coming back. And, as we know, the World Baseball Classic didn't use any of the new rules, any of the pitch clock, any of the batter get in the box, any of that stuff. So any of the pickoff moves. So it is going to be a little adjustment. They only had, I think it was 10 days from the World Baseball Classic end till when the MLB regular season starts to get accustomed to the rules. So I wonder how that, it's a question on how that really affects this team. Do I think it will really, obviously it's not going to be a huge effect, but it may affect this team, to start the season. And then the bullpen is pretty good again. Ryan Presley will be back as a closer, projects about 30 saves for him. Brian Abreu, Rafael Montero, Hector Neris. I mean, the bullpen has been really good, and I expect it to be good again. Lance McCullers, what's up with Lance McCullers? Is he coming back this year, or he's just hurt right now?
Strained elbow, which he's had. I don't know. He's been shoulder, elbow. He's another guy that just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Almost 30 years old, and I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't even see him at all this year. Again, it's just speculation, but it does sound fairly serious, especially a guy who's been banged up. And his best pitch by far is that huge sweeping slider he has, which, I mean, it sure looks like it probably puts a lot of strain on an elbow to throw that, right? So I think I wouldn't be shocked if the two are related. So personally, I wouldn't be counting on a whole lot of production from him.
Yeah. I mean, the team should be fine either way. The under-over set at 96.5 wins. 95.5, my mistake. 95.5 wins. Last year, this team won 106 games. I mean, I get they lost their key og, but I mean, I do think this team is going to be arguably better than they were last year. And I do think this team definitely, I mean, minus 175, I'm not betting them to win the division. Do I think they win the division? Yes. They'll be in the playoffs, and they're going to be a team to reckon with. That's for sure. What do you think about the Astros, DC?
Yeah, kind of like the Yankees. If you go back and watch our division preview for the AL East, a little bit lower on the Yankees than you were. I'm a little lower on the Astros than you are as well. I mean, you start off at the top. I mean, they lost the AL Cy Young winner in Justin Verlander. I wouldn't expect him to perform at that level this year, but he did perform at that level last year. So that's a huge chunk that you lose off the top of your rotation, a guy making a start and going, 6-7 innings every fifth day all year long. That can do a lot to help out the rest of your rotation, to help out your bullpen. I think that's going to be a big blow to them. Framber, Christian Javier at the top of the rotation, two pitchers I definitely believe in, but I don't think they're quite on the level of Justin Verlander. Urquidy, Luis Garcia, and then rookie Hunter Brown look like they're going to round out the rotation. I think those guys are number threes, and they're fine. So, yeah, I mean, the rotation is going to be good. I'm not saying the Astros are going to be bad. That 96.5 number does look high to me. They're going to be missing Jose Altuve, broke his thumb, like you mentioned, in the World Baseball Classic, hit by, I think, like a 99 mile per hour Daniel Bard fastball. He's out, I think, they said 8 to 10 weeks at first. Looks like beginning of June might be close to the best case scenario for Altuve. A shattered thumb, though, is a tough thing to come back from mid-season, right? I mean, like, if you're coming back from a strained hamstring or something like that, you can still do T-work, soft toss, swing the bat. A broken thumb, you really can't do anything for a long time. You just can't, it's in a splint or a cast for forever. And it's tough to get your timing back. I mean, he certainly might, but there's a long history of hitters trying to come back mid-season from those types of injuries. Doesn't always go well. Altuve will be 33 when he's back here in the middle of the season. Maybe he'll be back to his normal self. My bet would be that he has a down season, and even when he is back. So you take the leader of the staff off the team and Verlander, the leader of the clubhouse and lineup off the team and Jose Altuve. It's two pretty big question marks. Michael Brantley going to start the year on the injured list. He's certainly on the very back half of his career. That's a concern. And then even Jordan Alvarez, who I've been very, very high on these last couple of years, in my opinion, if healthy, maybe the best hitter in all of baseball, but dealing with a wrist injury this spring, the same wrist injury he was dealing with last year. Now, he did perform pretty well in the playoffs, but his production kind of slumped in August, September, and then he had a whole offseason to rest it, didn't get surgery or anything, and he wasn't even swinging a bat for the first 2-3 weeks of spring training. Has started now. I think he's played in like 2 or 3 spring training games, something like that, maybe 5, whatever it is. But that's a concern, right? I mean, I just doesn't seem like something that's going to go away, and seems like something that could be aggravated easily because it obviously didn't really heal despite the 5-month off season. Comes back to spring training and not ready to swing a bat yet. If you take him out of that lineup, it starts to look a lot worse. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But if we're talking, just potential probabilities, I do think Alvarez does present more risk than most top hitters in baseball. So that's another reason why I'm just a little hesitant on this team. The back half of the lineup, you get past Abreu, Hensley, McCormick, Myers, Maldonado, not all that impressive. It's not a team that can really go out and spend a ton of money, or at least historically hasn't done so, to kind of replace any injuries. So do you think they're a little bit teetering on, relying on health for their remaining players? And it doesn't always turn out that way. So I could see ways where this season turns a little bit south for the Astros. Like you said, I would still pick them to win this division, but I definitely wouldn't lay the minus 175. I'll take the under on the 96.5 wins. They've been good for a lot of years. Betting against the Astros hasn't been something that I've done, and if you've done it, you certainly lost money. But this could be a year I could see them taking a step back. So I guess, a little bit lower on the Astros than the consensus.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, man, that's why we bring you on there. You made a lot of good points. So maybe I should slow my roll a little bit on the Astros, which I'll be happy with. So next team we have up is the Seattle Mariners. And funny enough, plus 320 to win the division. And they somewhat did, rival the Astros last year. Obviously, they didn't win the division, but they didn't make the playoffs, had a solid season. It was Julio's first year. So I do expect this team to, take some steps forward. What do you think about the Seattle Mariners?
Yeah, I like this team a lot. I think they're ready to win now. I think they definitely want to win now after taking a big step forward last year. I mean, Julio Rodriguez, he could easily be the AL MVP. Just an incredible season last year. I'm sure I talked about him on the show. I was very high on him coming into the year. He was, just one of the best hitters, at every step of the minor leagues. Did it as a 21-year-old last year. No reason to think he'll do anything less. I think he and Ronald Acuna are the best two players or best bets in baseball to put up 40-40 or 50-50 even seasons. I think Julio Rodriguez is, it's crazy to say about a 22-year-old, but assuming any semblance of health, first ballot Hall of Famer. I feel pretty confident saying that already about Julio Rodriguez. To have that in the middle of your lineup playing Gold Glove caliber defense in center field goes a long way for a team. The rest of the lineup looks pretty good too. Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez, the guy from the Blue Jays. I think he was a good target. It's a tough hitter's park in Seattle, but when Teoscar gets one, it's going out to any park. So I think he was kind of a good guy to bring in. It's not going to be affected by the tough ballpark in Seattle. I like Colton Wong atop that lineup. Ty France, shout out to our boy Steve Boyden, loves Ty France. He's a good hitter, good contact guy in the middle there. Kel Raleigh had a big season. Jared Kelenic, he was kind of almost the Julio Rodriguez before Julio, has had a tough couple years. Based on the spring performance, at least, seems like he maybe has figured it out. One of the top performers in spring ball. He's going to get a chance here. I like his chances to finally show what he can do. Still just 23, talented dude. If he can be a above average hitter, which I think he will be this year, that could be a big step forward for the Mariners. So I like that lineup. A lot of young talent surrounded by some proven veterans in Suarez, Hernandez, Ty France. I'm in on the lineup, and then the rotation I like quite a bit too. They got Luis Castillo over from the Reds last year. I think, moving from Great American Small Park to a really nice pitcher's park in Seattle, and I think a better kind of developmental organization. I think Castillo, 18-1, AL Cy Young. I like that a little bit for Castillo. I think he's talented enough to compete for that. Two youngsters in Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, who are, I think, rock solid 2 and 3 starters at the worst. I'm not sure either of them will ever ascend to a number one type starter, but they're going to be very, very good pitchers for, I think, a number of years for Seattle. Robbie Ray, reports out of camp are very, very strong on Robbie Ray. Looks like his velocity is up. He's another guy, I think, that went to Driveline and improved his fastball velocity. And did he win a Cy Young a couple of years ago? I think he
2 years.
might have.
21.
Yeah, I think Robbie Ray, one of my kind of sleeper pitchers to put up a huge season with the Mariners. So I like him. Marco Gonzalez rounds out the number 5, nothing special, but I think he has an ERA like 4 or under for the last 3 years for them, or something crazy like that, where he definitely performs better than you expect. Bullpen is fantastic. Their best bullpen pitcher, Andres Munoz, isn't even the closer behind Paul Sewald, but kind of like with the Twins with Joan Duran, Munoz right up there with the very, very best bullpen pitchers in all of baseball. Castillo, Brash, Festa. They've got a lot of guys that can really, really pitch out of that bullpen. So I really like all 3 facets of this team: the lineup, starting rotation, bullpen. They want to compete. I think they're ready to compete. I don't really see a lot of holes here, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm in on the Mariners for sure. Take the over on their total, and I think plus 320 is what DraftKings has it to win the division. I don't know if there's a better number than that out there, but I would take a little stab at that one myself.
Yeah, I definitely like what the Mariners are doing here. As you mentioned, they're basically the rotation when it comes to the playoffs, or in my eyes, when it comes to the playoffs, if you have a good 1-2-3 rotation, you could be very dangerous. And this team definitely has a good 1-2-3. Obviously, Castillo, Logan Gilbert took a big step forward last year. I expect him to get better. And Robbie Ray, as we mentioned, 2 years removed from a Cy Young, which he had 32 starts that season. He led the league in innings pitched, 193 ERA, 2.84 that year. So he had very good numbers 2 years ago. And as you mentioned, you're hearing good things out of camp, so that's only good for this team for definitely the whole season. Marco Gonzalez, not really some guy I like to fade personally, but George Kirby, the big young righty that pitched, he won their own, or right? That was the only game they won, or they lost. They lost that game to the Astros, but he pitched really, really good in that game versus the Astros.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast, so you're asking the wrong guy.
He pitched really, really good in that game in the playoffs versus the Astros. So I do expect him to take another step forward too, because last year was essentially his rookie year. The addition of Colton Wong, Teoscar Hernandez, not forget Teoscar Hernandez in that lineup. He has potential 25, 30 home runs himself. Eugenio Suarez, another guy, doesn't really hit for average, but can slug the ball. He makes contact. That ball goes pretty damn far. AJ Pollock, another guy they added. So this lineup is very impressive, you ask me. As on paper right now, this lineup looks better than the Astros without Altuve and the bottom of that lineup. So I'm definitely interested in, and as you mentioned, the bullpen is a strong suit of this team. So this team is going to be good. I do expect this team to make the playoffs. Seawold, Diego Castillo, another guy, Ken Giles, who was a closer at one time for the Phillies, is now like a middle reliever on this team. Flexen, I'm pretty sure they're going to move Flexen to the bullpen and him be like, a one-inning guy, which probably will work great for him. So, yeah, this team is definitely very, very intriguing. I'm going to pull up their number to make the playoffs, see what that's at. Seattle Mariners to make the playoffs, minus 150. Damn. I wish I got something a little bit better than that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in this team too. If you want to take a chance on them to win the division, I'm not totally against it. With plus 320 odds is great odds for a team that's basically rivaling one other team to win the division. But for right now, I'm not going to make anything official on this. It'll be a wait and see for me.
Yeah, excited to see the Mariners play for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next team we have, based on the odds, is the Angels, just because they're in LA and everybody likes to fucking bet on the Angels. Everyone every year somehow bets on the Angels, but they are plus 750 to win the division. Again, Shohei's back, the best player in baseball, no questions asked, pitcher, hitter. The rotation, I think Patrick Sandoval is pretty good. The lefty, he took definitely a step forward last year, and he continues to improve location. He has a little bit of a head case, so if he doesn't allow that, he keeps the ball down at most times, and he did have a lot of good starts last year. I do have him projected for about 13 wins this year, probably about a mid-3 ERA. They did bring over Tyler Anderson, who used to be on the Dodgers. I'm pretty sure he's another lefty. I'm not really high on him that much. Reed Detmers was his rookie year as well, and Jose Suarez. So they do have a bunch of lefties in this rotation. Just the question marks, always arise on this team. The lineup, Anthony Rendon, who knows how many games he's going to play. The guy gets hurt year after year. They did add Hunter Renfroe, Brandon Drury into the lineup, so that should definitely help. Trout up top, Taylor Ward was a breakout candidate last year. Another guy probably slugs about 20 home runs this year. And Ohtani right in the middle. So this team has potential to make strides. Do they make strides is really the question mark. Obviously, there's two other teams very, very good in this division. And then really their bullpen is up in question. I don't know if they've named a closer. They're just going to do by committee. But they got Carlos Estevez, Ryan Tapara, Jimmy Hertgard. I mean, Matt Moore is in the bullpen as a potential closer. I definitely wouldn't trust him. Jamie Barria, Aaron Loop. So the question mark is definitely in their bullpen. They have names that we've heard of, like, veteran names, but guys that do I trust getting key outs, 8th, 9th inning outs? Probably not. So that's really going to be a question mark there. But under over on this team is set for, what do we got on? Oh no, that's to make the playoffs. Shit.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me.
I got it. 1 second. My bad. Angels under over is 82.5 wins. It's a little bit over 500. His team won 73 games last year. Do we think they're 11 games or 10 games better than last year? I personally don't. And now that they spread out, the last year they played more division games than this year, which should have helped them, being that they're playing the Rangers and the Athletics as many times, but now it's spread out a little bit more. So I lean under. It's going to be a stay away from me. What do you think about the Angels this year?
Yeah, I'm one of those idiots when you're introducing the Angels that's going to bet on the Angels this year. Sure, that'll come back to bite me, but I do actually like this team quite a bit. Of course, a lot of it comes down to health, but that's the same thing with any team. Trout has obviously been, when he's on the field, he's still one of the very, very top players in all of baseball. It's been a rough go of injuries for him these last couple of years, but he is healthy coming into the year, and his injuries, I think, have been a little fluky. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he plays 150 games. If he does, obviously, it would be a huge boost to this team. I mean, there's a scenario, a simulation where the Angels have the two best players in baseball on the same team, and Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. I mean, that's a team I kind of want to bet on when they're essentially expected to win half their games. Taylor Ward's an interesting case. If you go back to last year, if you go back to last April, he was like the best hitter in baseball for the first 3 or so weeks. Got hurt, played through it for a while. Numbers took a huge nosedive. Again, because kind of playing banged up for a lot of the year, missing time. It seemed like he finally got healthy in September and was one of the best hitters in baseball for the last 3 weeks as well. So it was like the first 3 weeks of April, last 3 weeks of September, bookmarking a pretty bad middle of the year stretch. But I think there's a decent chance that the real Taylor Ward, the healthy Taylor Ward, is a very, very good hitter. And if that's the case, you put Ward with Trout and Ohtani up top, you have potentially a top 3 hitters, or top 3 in the lineup of any lineup in all baseball. I think is the upside for the Angels. Anthony Rendon, again, I don't have a lot of faith in him. He's been so bad since coming over from the Nationals. Kind of seems like he got the big contract and kind of pieced out a little bit, but certainly we've seen him be an incredible player not that long ago. Another guy that is healthy right now, I think it's at least possible he has a good year for the Angels. Hunter Renfroe has power. I kind of like that signing for him. Brandon Drury over from the Reds had a big year last year. Jared Walsh looks like he's healthy. A player that a couple years ago looked pretty damn promising for the Angels. He's slotted to hit 7th. They've got one of the top up-and-coming catchers in baseball in Logan O'Hoppe, who I have some faith in. So, there's risk in this lineup, but I do think there's a lot of upside as well. So I do like it quite a bit. Gio Urshela, one of the better projected bench players in the league, frankly. I do like the Angels lineup quite a bit. And the starting rotation, obviously led by Ohtani, who, I don't think it's out of the possibility that he wins a MVP and a Cy Young in the same year. He's that good. And then 3, I play a lot of season-long fantasy baseball. 3 of my highest-owned pitchers in that format are the 2, 3, 4 lefties in their rotation. Sandoval, who I've got a lot of faith in. Tyler Anderson, mostly because he's super cheap, but he had an under 3 ERA in a full season with the Dodgers last year. And then Reed Detmers is the one that I think could really, really break out and be a potential number 1 ace type starter himself. Still just 23. Another guy that went to Driveline. His velocity on all his pitches is up 2 miles per hour here in the spring, mowing everybody down. I think he could be fantastic this year for the Angels. So Jose Suarez rounds it out. He's kind of a league average dude, but I see Ohtani obviously a number 1. I think Detmers can be a number 1, and then Sandoval and Anderson I think can be 2s and 3s. So I see a really talented rotation here with a lot of upside as well. I love the lineup, love the rotation. The bullpen, I'm with you on, is just dreadful. I don't really see anybody good in this bullpen. That's a big concern. But like we've talked about in some of the other division previews, some of the other teams, that's the one thing where, you could be surprised. Some of these guys could kind of come out of nowhere and pitch well. There's always bullpen arms available on other teams at the trade deadline. I'm sure they have, I don't know all the minor leaguers, but I'm sure they have some guys throwing 97, 98 in the minor leagues, maybe starters that they can turn into bullpen arms, right? It's the thing that you can kind of come out of nowhere, and you're not going to come out of nowhere and have a great starting rotation or lineup, but you can do it with the bullpen. And I'm not saying they will, but they could. And so I'm less concerned about that than I would be with a bad lineup or rotation. So I like the Angels. I like this plus 750 number to win the division. I think they're talented enough to do so. And I'm definitely taking the over on 82.5 total wins. I'll be one of the idiots betting the Angels once again. I'm sure they'll let me down, as they always do.
Love it. Hey, you made a lot of good points, that's for sure. And the rotation definitely is intriguing. So, they could definitely get over that number. They could soar over that number. They could easily win 90 games.
Yeah, that might be the move. Is take the alternate win line, right? Take a big. You can just take it with the division plus 750, but I do think if they stay healthy, they could easily win 90 plus games.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great look. So next, according to the odds, would be the Texas Rangers. They're plus 850 to win the division. This team won 68 games last year. Obviously, they made a lot of changes in the offseason, but I'll let you go first on the Rangers. What's your outlook on them?
Yeah, kind of on the fence about the Rangers, honestly. Bringing over, I mean, so much depends on Jacob deGrom, right? I mean, I don't think it's up for debate who's the best pitcher in baseball on a per inning basis, but I mean, he's pitched very few innings in these last couple of years. It seems like almost like phantom injuries, right? He'll be pitching, throwing 101 miles per hour, striking everybody out, and then all of a sudden he says he can't pitch for a while, and then he comes back and he's good to go. Like I just don't know what to expect. He's been awesome in spring when he's pitched, and he pitches opening day. Like he'll probably be in a lot of my DFS lineups on Thursday, but who knows how long he can hold up. I mean, if he can hold up a whole year, he's going to add 8-9 wins to this team. I also wouldn't be shocked if he went down on opening day. It's just that much of a question mark. I don't know what to expect. So a huge question mark, obviously, with the Rangers with him. Rounds out the rotation with Eovaldi, Perez, John Gray, Andrew Heaney. I like all four guys to some extent. I think John Gray, Andrew Heaney is pretty decent 4 and 5 starters. So, yeah, I think the rotation's got some upside for sure with DeGrom, and I think we'll be solid. Well, let me okay enough, even if they lose DeGrom, which seems somewhat likely. So I don't mind that. Lineup's decent too. I mean, Semien, Seager at the top there, Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis Garcia, Josh Jung. He's my rookie of the year pick, plus 2,000, 20 to 1 on DraftKings. Had a rough year last year, but he was another guy that went down, I think in spring training. He was like a very good contact hitter all throughout his minor league career, but comes back, I think August, September. Just a tough time to make your debut, especially coming off injury. He said he was pressing, just trying not to strike out, essentially, because he struck out a whole bunch when he first came up. He's been awesome in spring. I think he's going to have a really, really nice season for the Rangers at third base. So Josh Jung, my AL Rookie of the Year pick. Rounds it out decent. Jonah Heim, Grossman, Brad Miller, Bubba Thompson, good center fielder, can steal some bases. So, yeah, I like the lineup a little bit. I think the rotation has upside. Bullpen, kind of league average, maybe a little bit worse, but again, not as concerned about that. So, yeah, I like the Rangers a little bit, not as much as the Angels. And I think I'll pass. I'm not going to bet both the Rangers and the Angels to win the division. I'll take the Angels at just a little bit of a worse number. But I do expect the Rangers to have a solid season and assume they're projected to be about 500. I think I'd maybe take the over on that. It's really the Astros that I'm kind of lower on this division. And we'll get to the A's in a second, but I'll be taking the under on them as well.
Yeah, they're under over set at 81.5. So essentially,
500.
one game over 500. Yep. As you mentioned, I do like the rotation. Obviously, DeGrom all depends on health, but with all these guys, these are really all 5 vets in DeGrom, Eovaldi, Martin Perez, Johnny Gray, and Andrew Heaney. I think Johnny Gray will take a step forward here. And Martin Perez pitched really good in the World Baseball Classic. This guy, obviously, the velocity on his fastball has somewhat ticked up. He looked really good. Andrew Heaney, a guy that I definitely don't trust, but as a 5 starter, you don't really have to trust him that much. So Nathan Eovaldi, these guys are. I mean, if say we cross out DeGrom, but Eovaldi, Martin Perez, and John Gray are innings eaters. These guys should pitch, 20 starts each easily. 150 innings each from all 3 of them. So that's definitely a great step in the right direction. Lineup is pretty solid. They spent money on Semien, Corey Seager last couple of years. Josh Jung, as you mentioned, I think that we both bet him to win the AL Rookie of the Year. I actually gave that out to Rump Your Bet subscribers at plus 18. Nice. And I checked today, and he's plus 2,000. So I lost a little juice on that. But if he cashed it, I don't really care.
Hey, double down. Yeah. You get back in there.
Jonah Heim, I think you turned me on to him last year when watching your DFS shows. And, man, he just watching him at the plate is very damn impressive. And then Robbie Grossman, another guy that added to the lineup. I think he should only help this team moving forward. The bullpen, as we mentioned, the bullpen's definitely not impressive, but they do have a bunch of starters that they're going to use in the bullpen, like Ian Kennedy. Obviously, Ian Kennedy is now a reliever, but Dane Dunning was at one time they thought he was going to be he was a top prospect. They thought he was going to be the next top thing. I'm pretty sure they moved him to the bullpen. He's going to be a bullpen full time. Jake Cardozi, another guy. They did bring over Will Smith from the bullpen. Leclerc is pretty damn good. He throws gas. Brock Burke, Jonathan Hernandez. So their bullpen is not terrible compared to a lot of other bullpens. They also do have Dallas Keuchel. I don't know what's up with him. He might not even make the team. He might get cut. Glenn Otto, another guy that they had that supposedly was supposed to be good. So they do have a lot of different pitching options to either be a starter in case somebody goes down or plug right into that bullpen. So at 81.5 wins, I'll likely stay away. This is probably a 500 team. They might slightly go over that. They probably win like 85, 84, 85 wins. I do think, this team will be personally, I will bet on them in spots, situationals. I'll pick situations and bet on them because they definitely, they're pitching, their starting rotation. I'll be on a lot of first fives, we'll say, because their starting rotation definitely can beat some teams. And that's the way I'll approach it for the season moving forward.
Yeah, it makes sense on the Rangers. I guess the last team is the A's, who I think clearly the worst team in baseball. We talk about teams even like the Tigers and the Royals. At least they've got some good young players, right? Some good young talent. They're trying to win games. The A's, I think, are like trying to get out of Oakland, and they're trying to be as bad as possible to kind of force MLB's hand, right? I think they almost like want no one to come to their games, and there's like stories of like clubhouses doesn't have good plumbing, and this team is just shit, just all the way around. Like I don't think they have an above average regular on their entire roster. I don't see it. I mean, they're not even particularly young. Like the first 6 hitters in their lineup, they average like 32 years of age. Just a bunch of cheap old veterans. They don't want to win games. I mean, I just don't see anything really to like about this team whatsoever. Their number one pitcher is Kyle Muller, who couldn't crack the rotation for the Braves. They brought over Fujinami from Japan, but I mean, I think he's going to be wild first year. Caprillion, Waldichuk, Sears rounded out. Bad bullpen. I can't really say anything positive about the A's. Not sure who could take the under on anyone who performs decently well by the trade deadline is going to get traded. Anyone that can help a contender is going to be gone from this team anyway. They're just only going to get worse as the year progresses. So I see nothing to like about the A's. I have probably less to say about them than any other team in baseball. And give me the unders here.
Yeah. So Paul Blackburn is like their best starter. He did mess up his fingernail. I don't know. He forgot to take his mite or whatever, but he's basically not going to start. He's going to be on the IL to start the season. But past that is right. Their rotation is the worst in baseball. Not even.
I don't have any good players on the whole team.
You can't even argue that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, they have Seth Brown, Jesus Aguilar, not terrible. Ramon Laureano likely gets traded. They've been talking about trading him for years. He'll likely get traded. Manny Diaz, who they got over from the Astros, not terrible, but as you mentioned, these guys are not young. These guys are all vets. That we're like, what are we doing here? This team lost how many games last year? Over 100 easy. They lost 102 games last year. Over this year set at 59.5. So they think they're going to lose more. They think they're going to. I mean, essentially the same record, 60 and 102 from last year. I mean, I just don't see this team. They don't spend money. They haven't. The Moneyball era is far gone. They haven't done anything to improve this team. The stadium's a shit show. So they should get them to Vegas. Get them to Vegas now. I guess their bullpen is not terrible because they have Familia that they got over from the Mets. Trevor May is not terrible. Domingo Acevedo. So their bullpen is not terrible, but as we mentioned, most of these guys, especially
those guys are already good. They're going to get traded off the team, though.
Bullpen arms are definitely getting traded. Yeah. Bullpen arms are easy come, easy go, and teams are going to be itching for bullpen arms right before the deadline. So, yeah, I'm going to stay far away from this team, betting wise and totals wise. Yeah, definitely staying away. But Yeah, draft. If you want to give me your best bet for the AL West here.
Yeah, I will go. I'll go with the Angels to win this division at plus 750. Big number there. But like I said, I'm a little bit lower on the Astros. And I think the Angels got the talent to pull off kind of the big upset at the big number there. So Angels plus 750 to win the AL West.
Wow, I like it. All right, I'm gonna give Josh Young AL Rookie of the Year
Yeah.
via DraftKings right now plus 2,000 via DraftKings. I mean, so basically when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at AL Rookie. I'm looking at somebody that's going to start in the majors. This guy is starting in the majors, going to be a starting role in the majors, not coming off the bench. He's going to be plotted
Yep.
right into that lineup day one. So I mean, if I lose plus 2,000, as we mentioned earlier in the previous division preview, this should be 1 unit, half unit bet on this. Don't get crazy, but the value is there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think when you're betting individual player futures in MLB, you want some big numbers in general, right? You
Yeah,
don't want to be laying that chalk. There's just so much that can happen in the season.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Long season. I hope everyone has a good one. Again, I got 2 more division previews. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to bang them out, but they'll get banged out before Monday. We'll say that. All right, guys. I appreciate you all from Draft G to me. If you guys want to sign up, runpurebets.com. Every play, every day, fully tracked. Do a great job. It is work15 is the promo code. RunPureBets, runpuresports.com. We appreciate you guys all. Draft G, any final words from you?
Not fun, fun knocking out these AL previews with you, and we got baseball 24 hours away, so ready to go.
Let's go. Appreciate you all. We're out.